Peace. This is Waz for Waz Words Media, back at y'all for another round. And fight fans, major news in the world of boxing. Light heavyweight division, undisputed champion, Bivol, gave up his WBC belt. And the opponent that was supposed to take on Bivol for that WBC title was none other than Benavidez. So now, because Bivol gave up the WBC title, the WBC now elevated Benavidez to becoming their WBC light heavyweight champion. So now, by default, instead of fighting for the title, they gave the title to Benavidez. So now he's the WBC light heavyweight champion. And this have left many to wonder, why did Bivol give up the title instead of taking the fight with Benavidez? A fight with Benavidez is something that the fans want, you know, like we all would love that fight. That would be an action-packed fight. And some are even saying that Bivol was scared and he dropped the title because he didn't want to fight Benavidez. Benavidez took to social media and said that, you know, although he did not want to win the title in this fashion of just being awarded the title, he wanted to fight for the title like a true champion. He's still nonetheless happy, whatever, to be champion, and he's going to give fight fans the fights that they want. So now, there's a major player, couple major players in all of this right now. Number one is Turki Al-Sheikh. The reason why this happened is because when Bivol lost the first fight to Benavidez, what Turki Al-Sheikh did was he went to Bivol and consoled him and told him, listen, hell of a fight, amazing fight. You both went out like champions. I'm going to get you the rematch. Don't worry about it. So now, instantly, Benavidez and Bivol rematched. Turki Al-Sheikh ends up doing the same thing this time around for Benavidez. And he tells Bivol, I need you to give him the automatic rematch the way he gave you the automatic rematch. Because, you know, it's only right. When you lost, he wasted no time and he gave you a rematch. So I need you, Dimitri, to give Arthur that rematch. Immediate rematch. Don't let him wait for it. So in this case, it was supposed to be smooth, because we all knew going into that fight, the second fight between Bivol and Benavidez, that if Benavidez won, there would be no third fight. The next fight would be Benavidez versus Benavidez. But the fact that Bivol tied it up, and now it's a split 1-1, now the rubber match is in order, and the Benavidez fight got pushed to the back burner. So now Benavidez was going to take like a stay busy fight. He was going to fight like Callum Smith, which might ultimately end up happening. But now, the fact that Bivol beat Benavidez in the second fight, now that makes for a third fight for the rubber match. And now Benavidez has to wait. The WBC's Mauricio Suleiman is the second player involved, and his hypocrisy, because when Benavidez was Canelo Alvarez's mandatory opponent for 3 years, and as much as Benavidez called him out after every fight, like as much as he's been trying to get that fight, the WBC never stripped Canelo Alvarez in those 3 years that Benavidez was his mandatory. The WBC never stripped Canelo for taking other fights besides the Benavidez fight. But here we go. Now that it's a different champion at the WBC because it's a different weight class, now that it's Dimitri Bivol, now the WBC has no problem stripping this person for not fighting David Benavidez. That to me is the essence of the word hypocrisy. So now they want to tell David Benavidez, pat him on the back. You see, we're looking out for your best interest. We try to give you a good fight. We try to give you a title. But meanwhile, they didn't do that when it was Canelo Alvarez. When it was Canelo Alvarez for 3 years at the super middleweight division, David Benavidez was Canelo Alvarez's mandatory opponent. He was supposed to fight for that belt 3 years. 3 years he was in line, #1 contender for that title. Canelo always dodged him, ducked him. In other words, oh, I don't fight Mexicans all of a sudden, but then turns around and fights Jaime Munguia. And then all of a sudden, David Benavidez moves up to light heavyweight because he was tired of waiting for Canelo. And then the WBC says, oh, well, you see, you blew your chance. You blew your shot. You left. So now you can't fight Canelo for the WBC belt. Sorry, you blew. It's your fault. You left. They made the man wait 3 years. The moment he decides to move up, now they want to open their mouth and say, well, you can't fight him now. You left. The man waited 3 years. So now he moves up to 175. And because the WBC champion is not named Canelo Alvarez, all of a sudden, now they want to activate and force the WBC champion to fight David Benavidez. And the WBC champion just so happens to be Dimitri Bivol. So because Bivol is caught up in between a rock and a hard place, this was his dream to be undisputed champion. Bivol always wanted to be undisputed champion. He achieved that dream. You've seen him, like, show emotions he's never really shown after he won that championship. He was so happy because this was his dream to be undisputed champion. You think he really wanted to give that WBC belt up? No. Mauricio Suleiman forced him to give up that belt. Bivol would have fought David Benavidez. He would have fought him in a heartbeat. That would have been his next fight. But because going into fight number 2, it was already established. Listen, you got to give him that rubber match. Turki Al-Sheikh already put it, the handwriting was on the wall. If you win this fight, you got to give Arthur that rematch. Arthur deserves the rematch because he gave you the rematch. So that rematch was going to happen. There was not going to be any Benavidez fight happening next for Bivol because it was already predetermined that if Bivol wins, it's going to be a rubber match. It's going to be a third fight. And, you know, Bivol got caught between a rock and a hard place. It's like, okay, I gave my word. I got to fight Benavidez, the third fight, because he gave me the rematch. But at the same time, the WBC is talking about stripping me and taking my title. So what do I do? And, you know, he's got to stay loyal to Turki Al-Sheikh. Turki Al-Sheikh gave him that rematch, that big spot to get the revenge. And, you know, as a man of his word, as a man of integrity, he gave up the title. And he shouldn't have never been in that position if it wasn't for the hypocrisy of the WBC, because the WBC never forced Canelo Alvarez to fight David Benavidez. They never did it. Canelo was able to hold and duck and dodge Benavidez for 3 years with no kind of repercussions, was never stripped, nothing. But then the moment that Bivol is in lightweight, instantly Bivol has to give up the title because he's forced into a fight with Arthur. Hypocrisy at its highest. And unfortunately, that's just boxing politics. But trust me, just to, you know, to land this plane, if anything, the winner of this third fight between Bivol and Benavidez. The winner of this third fight, Bivol and Benavidez, excuse me. The winner of this third fight between Bivol and Benavidez, I can guarantee you will fight David Benavidez. Guarantee you. But it's just they had their own business. It's not like, even if the roles were reversed, let's say Benavidez won the first fight, Bivol won the first fight, Benavidez won the second fight, Benavidez wasn't going to be able to fight Benavidez. He had to take that third fight against Bivol. That's just how the cards were stacked. It was predetermined based on how things went in those first two fights. If Benavidez would have won and he won both fights, we would be getting Benavidez and Benavidez. But because it's 1-1, they have to do the rematch. So, as much as we all want to see that Benavidez versus Bivol, we're going to have to wait a little bit until after that third fight between Bivol and Benavidez. I'm Wash for Waz Words Media. Peace.